Welcome back to Monitors Unboxed. It's time to update our picks for the best 4K gaming monitors you can currently buy. The last 4K buying guide we ran was back in December of 2022, so certainly long overdue for an update. And given that I've just been testing a range of brand new 4K gaming monitors, it makes sense to provide an update today. Whether or not a 4K monitor is the best choice for gaming is still up for debate and will depend heavily on your preferences and use case. If you're after something that is versatile for both gaming and desktop productivity work, a 4K monitor can be a great choice, especially as GPU hardware has become more powerful, upscaling technologies are now more mature, and 4K monitors themselves have gotten a lot cheaper. Plus for desktop apps, it's hard to beat the resolution and sharpness of a 4K display. But I wouldn't say 4K is the slam dunk obvious choice right now either, as 1440p monitors still have a lot to offer, so that's something you'll have to weigh up. In today's video, we are purely going to be talking about 4K gaming monitors, which means we are not talking about any 60Hz displays. 120Hz is the minimum. I know some people do still buy those super cheap 4K 60Hz displays, but I'd recommend that you don't do that for gaming. I also will be mostly talking about products that I've reviewed and tested myself, so I know they are good rather than guessing or looking at spec sheets. We have full reviews for lots of the products in this video that are well worth checking out for more in-depth testing and thoughts, plus links in the description for all products. But before we get into the recommendations, today's video is sponsored by Ugreen's world first Nexode 300 watt multi-port GAN charger with a dedicated 140 watt output port. This beast of a charger is so powerful it can charge 5 devices at once using high-speed protocols like PD 3.1 and QC 3.0 with a wide variety of voltages for maximum compatibility. But the Nexode 300 watt charger doesn't just provide fast charging speeds, it's also designed with safety in mind. The built-in thermal guard solution keeps connected devices protected from overheating, overcharge, and excessive current, all in a convenient, impressively small form factor. Not only that, but the use of GAN power ICs instead of legacy silicon improves efficiency to reduce carbon emissions from device charging. To learn more and grab this super powerful 300 watt fast charger now, click the links in the description below. If you're after a 27-inch 4K high refresh rate gaming monitor right now, pricing and the quality of options is the best that it has ever been. It was only a few years ago that $500 US would have gotten you just a 1440p 144Hz monitor. These days, at the same price, you are getting 4K instead. For the majority of buyers, the 4K monitor that makes the most sense to buy also turns out to be the best value, Gigabyte's new M27U. With the current price tag of just $470 US, the M27U offers outstanding bang for buck and a product that's well balanced across a lot of key areas. This isn't the only 4K gaming monitor worth considering at this size, but it's hard to go past something offering such great value. The M27U offers an excellent balance across all areas to performance, from response time speed to color quality. Motion performance is similar to that of other modern IPS LCDs, and the panel is decently well optimized for variable refresh rate gamers, no glaring flaws here. We're looking at a wide gamut experience, great brightness, reasonable factory calibration, and of course the excellent resolution of a 4K panel that's well suited to productivity work as well as gaming. There are no areas to performance that especially stand out, but no deal breaker flaws either. Priced at below $500, you're just not going to get this sort of bang for buck and value from other products that we've tested. Usually this sort of experience starts more in the $550 to $600 range, or even higher at times. It's not the perfect product, the contrast ratio could be better, and there's no meaningful HDR capabilities. But as far as 27-inch 4K 160Hz IPS LCDs go, this is definitely one to consider. Pretty close in performance to the Gigabyte M27U is the Gigabyte M28U, which uses a different panel, but is a product I've highly recommended in the past for a similar reason. It's excellent value. Depending on when you look and the region you are in, the M28U is often at a similar price to the M27U, and for that reason, it's still definitely worth considering. Compared to the M27U, the M28U is a little better tuned for high refresh rate gaming around the 120 to 144Hz range, has superior factory calibration, especially the sRGB mode, and a somewhat higher contrast ratio. The M27U is much brighter, it consumes less power, and has a slightly higher refresh rate, plus it is a little better tuned for variable refresh gaming. Overall, there's not much in it, and both are great value choices. Also worth considering is the LG 27GR93U, but only outside of the US, where currently this monitor is far too expensive. In some other regions, like here in Australia, the 27GR93U is similarly priced to the M27U and M28U, making it an excellent value proposition. Again, performance is similar to the M27U and M28U, but with a few extra capabilities like hardware calibration support and slightly better response time tuning. Depending on the price in your region and how much you value those features, I'd even consider getting this over the M27U, but that mediocre US price is a bit hard to swallow. I'll also give an honourable mention to the MSI Optics MAG281 URF, which uses the same IPS LCD panel as the Gigabyte M28U and so offers very similar performance overall. I've tested a few other products that use this panel, but it's really only the MSI and Gigabyte that are priced well these days, with the MSI model often hovering around $500 to $550 US. You should be on the lookout for this one at its current price, as it could end up being better value than the other monitors I've been talking about in your region. Relative to the M28U, the MSI model isn't as well calibrated but offers near identical response time performance and higher bandwidth HDMI 2.1 ports, so at around $500 it's absolutely in contention. If you're after a 4K 144Hz gaming monitor but think 27 or 28 inches is a bit too small, well, luckily there are 32-inch models available. These days, the 32-inch 4K market has improved a bit compared to previous years, where the quality of 32-inch panels was a noticeable downgrade relative to 27-inch panels. That's no longer the case, although upgrading in size still comes with a hefty price premium. Right now, there are several options worth considering in this category, the leading candidate being the LG 32GR93U, a 32-inch 4K 144Hz IPS LCD. This monitor is a bit more expensive than some other similar products as it's priced at $800 US, but it does offer a notable performance edge that in many situations is worth paying for. The 32GR93U performs well across a range of different areas. It delivers good response times, and LG have tuned it well to offer a single overdrive mode experience. It's not the fastest product going around at 144Hz, but it's optimized to avoid inverse ghosting artifacts. Among 32-inch LCD monitors, this is one of the best displays I've seen in that area, which is especially important as older 32-inch models from a few years ago weren't very impressive in terms of motion quality. This is complemented by great factory color tuning, an excellent sRGB mode, hardware calibration support, strong DCI-P3 color space coverage, and good brightness. It offers fantastic versatility for those that want to game and use the nice large 32-inch 4K panel for productivity work. It's a really nice dual-use monitor. The main drawback here is that you aren't getting any real HDR hardware capabilities at its $800 price point, which is a bit disappointing given the more premium positioning of this display, but I still think this is one of the best 32-inch 4K gaming monitors you can get if you want great performance across most key areas without any major deal breakers. Also worth considering is the Lenovo Legion Y32P30, which is often a little cheaper than LG's equivalent, sitting more in the $700 to $750 range. In fact, I've seen it for as low as $680 US, which is certainly very tempting. The Legion is quite similar to the LG model, though not quite as strong in its tuning and optimization. A little weaker in response time performance, not as wide of a color gamut, not as well calibrated, but we're talking small differences. The Lenovo model isn't massively behind the LG, it still performs well in general, and for a $100 discount, I'd definitely consider it, especially if you don't require hardware calibration or the best accuracy from the factory. And lastly in this category, it's still worth talking about the Gigabyte M32U, which was the previous best choice for those after something 32 inches. This variant is on the cheaper end of the spectrum, typically being priced between $650 and $680 US, which I think is fair given the performance on offer. Response times aren't as well tuned as the Lenovo or LG models, its contrast ratio isn't as good, and it lacks the same level of wide gamut support and factory calibration as the LG in particular, but it's still a solid monitor for gamers after something bang for buck, and given it's roughly 20% cheaper than the 32GR93U, I think it's worth considering. If you're after a normal-sized 4K monitor that can also do full true HDR, these days there are some great options for you to consider. But before I discuss my pick in this category, I think it's worth pointing out that 32-inch 4K OLED gaming monitors are just around the corner with an expected debut sometime in 2024, which, believe it or not, isn't that far away now. So if you're after a premium, high-resolution HDR experience at a sensible size, and you've been tempted by the lure of OLED technology, it could be worth waiting until those monitors are released. The monitor to look out for is the Asus ROG Swift PG32 UCDM, which was announced last month at Gamescom and is expected in the first half of 2024. When this panel is ready for prime time, it's likely we'll see other brands jump on board to offer a 4K OLED gaming monitor, so keep an eye out for that next year. For now though, until those monitors launch, my current recommendation continues to be the Samsung Odyssey Neo G7. It's a 32-inch 4K 165Hz gaming display using VA LCD technology and with a 1196 zone full array local dimming backlight. Thanks to this backlight and the use of high contrast VA tech, the Neo G7 offers a true HDR experience that I think gets the closest to OLED of any LCD monitor that I've tested so far. It doesn't quite match OLED for its richness, shadow detail and viewing angles, but there's no doubting the HDR experience here is impressive. The Neo G7 is one of the fastest LCD monitors I've tested in terms of response times, and while motion clarity isn't as good as OLED displays, it still offers a strong gaming experience, especially at 4K. The HDR experience is very good as well. The combination of a high zone count backlight and great native contrast leads to minimal blooming in HDR content while retaining the punch you should get from these displays. Peak brightness exceeds 1200 nits, and overall this display is somewhat brighter than you'll get from an OLED, though not especially bright. Being a more traditional gaming display, the Neo G7 has a few other advantages up its sleeve. The use of VA LCD tech means there's no risk of burn-in, and it has a normal sub-pixel structure which plays nicely with desktop apps and text. And of course, the size is really nice for desktop use. 32 inches with this sort of resolution is fantastic. There are some drawbacks though. The 1000R curvature is very aggressive and adds nothing to the experience, so while the display is better suited to desktop use, I don't think it's all that versatile as a productivity or creator monitor. Input latency with dimming enabled is unimpressive, and poor viewing angles also require you to view the display dead on to get the best HDR experience. But these flaws are more on the minor end of the scale and shouldn't take away from what is otherwise a great HDR gaming experience. The Neo G7 has an MSRP of $1,300, which is quite expensive, but it has regularly gone on sale for $1,100 and more recently an astonishingly good $900. So I'd be on the lookout for a discount and not paying full price if possible. Anything in that $900 to $1,100 range though is a pretty good deal, and I would recommend it at that price. What I can't recommend though is the higher end brother of the Neo G7, the Neo G8. While this display does bump up the refresh rate from 165 to 240Hz, the Neo G8 ships with deal-breaking issues such as scan lines at the highest refresh. I would opt to save the small amount of cash and just get the Neo G7, which works pretty well. Our final category in this video is for the best large format 4K HDR monitor, and there's two reasons why this category is included. One, for some people 32 inches is too small and they want something larger and super immersive. And two, in my opinion, the overall best 4K HDR monitor for gaming right now, when you don't factor in screen size, is in fact a larger format display, that being the LG C2/C3 OLED in its 42-inch size option, at least until those 32-inch models come next year. OLED panels bring a number of advantages over LCD, such as the Odyssey Neo G7 we talked about in the previous segment, including per pixel local dimming, faster response times, and better viewing angles. So a display like the LG C3 isn't just a nice large format for immersive gaming, it also delivers excellent image quality. With each pixel being able to individually illuminate itself, the C3 OLED offers unparalleled dimming and the ability to show bright and dark objects close together with no blooming or haloing issues. The C3 OLED gets extremely dark for shadow detail, shows true zero-level blacks, and is capable of bright highlights over 700 nits in real-world content. It also has a glossy screen with great reflection handling, which makes colors pop and HDR shine. Response times are lightning fast on the C3, and while the Neo G7 is a fast monitor, the C3 is an order of magnitude faster. This helps to compensate for its rather low 120Hz refresh rate compared to 165Hz for the Neo G7. Despite this difference in motion clarity, the C3 can actually be better at times, simply due to how fast it can transition. And 120Hz is still plenty of speed for visual extravaganzas and other single-player titles, which are the best examples of HDR today. The C3 also has a few other advantages which put it in top spot and make it a great buy. It has a flat panel with excellent viewing angles, it's a massive display that is very immersive, without being so large that it's impractical for desktop usage, though it is big enough that it won't be suitable for all setups. It offers full smart TV functionality, 4 HDMI 2.1 ports and Dolby Vision support, making it a great option for console gaming and other forms of content consumption like video playback. Of course, being an OLED, there are some downsides here. The monitor is not suitable for desktop usage or productivity work owing to its low SDR brightness, non-standard subpixel layout, automatic brightness limiter, and risk of permanent burn-in, though none of these are significant concerns if your primary use case is gaming or watching videos. It also only offers HDMI, no DisplayPort connector is included, so you'll need an HDMI 2.1 compatible GPU for the best experience. The main question here is whether you should get the LG C3 OLED or the older C2 OLED that we reviewed in a 42-inch size. Our friends over at TFT Central have tested the C3 and found it performs very similarly to the C2, so there isn't a clear choice between the newer and older options. Based on this, we'd recommend getting whatever model is cheaper. With that said, it's becoming much harder these days to find the C2 at an excellent discounted price. Stock has pretty much run dry, leaving just the C3 as an option for many. That's not necessarily a bad thing though, as the 42-inch C3 is priced at $1,100 these days, which I feel is quite fair. It performs similarly to the C2, and on top of that, LG will likely continue to discount it across the next few months, so you can always wait if you're after the ultimate best deal on that particular display. So that's it for this 4K gaming monitor recommendation video. Lots of great options on the market right now. Prices have become cheaper for 4K panels, and we're set for a big 2024 with the impending launch of new OLED gaming monitors at sensible sizes. There's never been a better time to enter the 4K gaming ecosystem, and it's only going to get better from here. As always, if you do want to learn more about the monitors I've been talking about in this video, I have individual reviews available either on this channel or over on Hardware Unboxed. I'd also recommend checking the links in the description for updated pricing information, as this does change over time, so check down there if you are watching this video weeks or months after it went live. Anyway, that's it for this one. If you do want to support our independent testing here at Monitors Unboxed and all of the long hours that go into making these sorts of videos, or the testing of all the products and things like that that form our recommendations, and the best way to do that is to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, or consider signing up to our Patreon or Float Plan accounts. Links to those are in the description below, and you get access to some cool perks like ICC profiles for the monitors that we've tested. We've also got our Discord community if you want to chat about monitors, ask questions, just get some advice. There's lots of knowledgeable members in there as well. So yeah, lots of good stuff. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.